Show me your hands now! Stand up and walk towards us!
Air carrier's gonna go ahead and fly whenever it needs. 3 kids down, 16 feet up.
Anybody in the audience that you may know.
A question for you to think about. What could make a parent angry, sad, or distraught enough to take their child's own life? And just how evil or desperate would they have to be to not only consider such horror, but to plan it? Well, for months, this is actually an ongoing case for Chad Doberman, the father of 3 who executed his kids for no apparent reason. It starts on a seemingly normal afternoon on the 15th of June 2023. Police were called out to Claremont County, Ohio, following from 2 911 calls from passerbys who were approached by a terrified girl on the road.
911, where's your emergency?
There's a girl running down the street saying that her stepfather is killing everyone in her family. It's on the corner of where there's a body shop and the fire department. Do you know what road this is?
Okay, what's your name?
Give it into the fire department.
What's your name?
Do you know what road this is? Laura Lindell Road.
You said what?
It's Laura Lindell Road.
It started this afternoon when Doberman came home early from work and asked his wife to join him in the master bedroom to take a nap, along with their 3 sons, Chase, Hunter and Clayton, while his stepdaughter was in the next room watching TV. So agreed the wife and husband would make their way up the stairs to the master bedroom. Once at the front door to the master bedroom, Doberman would open the door up. Once the door was opened, instead of going to bed like his wife was expecting him to, he would take out his rifle and shoot his 4-year-old son Hunter twice in the head. The girl who was in the other room, again who was also 12 years old, rushed to find their mother trying to protect their injured son from Doberman, who was fighting viciously and even bit his own wife just to get out the ball. With no options left and with one final desperate move, his wife would grab the rifle, which unfortunately resulted in her getting shot in the hand and forced her to drop her son into Doberman's line of fire.
I think she ran to the fire department.
So she went to the fire station. What did she look like? Did she say anything about a baby?
I don't know about no baby. She said she just couldn't leave her family.
Now, as the mother fought for the little boy's life, the 12-year-old girl told the remaining brothers to run as far as they could, and they would flee the scene. And the 7-year-old boy, Clayton, would make it about 300 feet into a nearby field before unfortunately getting gunned down by his own father from behind. Doberman went next for his stepdaughter, who was attempting to carry her last brother, 3-year-old Chase, to safety. When he eventually caught up, because again she was 12 years old, he demanded her to put him down and he would try to fire at him. Now, before he could even shoot, fortunately his gun would get jammed. But now separated, the last son would run back to the house, where unfortunately wouldn't be long before Doberman caught up to him. And this is where the stepdaughter would escape to the nearby fire department to call for help. At around 4 PM, the police would arrive at the scene and would discover the shooter, 32-year-old Chad Doberman, sitting at the front of the door, calmly. He's unresponsive to any commands that the law enforcement were giving him, and so without no options, the officers would continue forward to the home.
Show us your hands now! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the f*** up!
EMS is staged and air carrier's gonna go ahead and fly whenever any units can arrive.
Get your hands out of here. Caliber 21. It's in the air.
Upon further inspection, the officers are confronted by a scene straight out of a horror movie. On the ground in front of the door lies a mother, screaming besides her own children, who again weren't in this world anymore, while the father watches her, utterly emotionless.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs a day in my life.
21. Get the EMS over here.
As you can tell, Doberman's demeanor and overall attitude to the situation is completely unnormal and just downright unnatural. He can be heard telling the officers that he means no harm and he hasn't consumed any drugs or any alcohol, and he would assure them that he's not insane, and even kindly warns them about his dog, who was known to be aggressive against people that it doesn't know.
Come on, man.
Hey, are you copying all this? Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
All right.
He won't bite you.
He would claim that there's nothing going on, which of course was a shocking opposite to his wife's desperate cries that can be heard repeatedly throughout the footage from the crime scene.
3 kids down, 16 feet up.
Gatlin!
63, we're 21.
Knock
Have
it off.
EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
In total, there were about 9 shots that were fired this afternoon, with one of the boys shot once, and the other 2 were shot 4 times each. And quite strangely and confusingly, he made no attempt to take the life of the mother or the stepdaughter, despite knowing that they alerted the police.
You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house?
Yeah.
Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
Can you get the wallet out of my back pocket?
Shut up, dude. Yeah, the rope remains solid. Can use it.
From the footage you can see that Doberman disturbingly has no reaction as he marched past their bodies, and he seems odd and again uncomfortably comfortable with the officers apprehending him. But just one night in police custody, reality finally started to sink in for Mr. Doberman. A visibly distressed Doberman would refuse to wear the jumpsuit provided by the police. He would resist multiple officers as they put him into handcuffs, preparing him for his first arraignment with the judge in court. There he will hear the charges that were brought against him and will face both media and prosecutors, a realization that hits him right outside of the courtroom.
Dad, look at me. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. No, I know. Just take a deep breath for me, okay? I'm going to have your public defender come back and talk to you, okay? And then we're going to go out and we're going to do your hearing. Can you hear me? Do you need a second? Okay, take a deep breath.
Doberman went from Mr. I don't care to be someone who is clearly scared for his life and is overall struggling to withhold his panic. Once eventually he regained the control of his emotions, an officer would explain the process of the initial hearing. He would be warned about the media and told to pay attention to the judge alone.
There's media out there, okay? When you walk out, you'll see a piece of black tape on the floor. All I need from you is to stand on that piece of black tape, face the judge only, and just listen. They'll say that you have the right to remain silent, and I advise you to use that, okay? Because everything in there is recorded. So I want you, again, just to stand there, look at the judge only, don't turn to the media, don't turn to anybody in the audience that you may know. Listen to the judge and let your public defender do the talking for you, okay? Do you have any questions for us?
Clearly, Doberman is struggling to pay attention and clearly is focusing on the fact that he's going to go to jail and he won't be coming out for a very, very long time. And all of the emotions that he held back during the crime scene and just leading up to this point is now overflowing all at once. And well, Doberman doesn't know how to deal with it. Doberman would arrive at the courtroom and the prosecutor would start to list out his crimes in detail, describing this case as unspeakable horror.
Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission.
According to the statement, which was from Doberman himself, it's revealed that this act of violence wasn't an accident. No, in fact it was the complete opposite. It was a calculated execution.
To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the events of this day. This did not happen on a whim.
Now it's learned that Doberman had allegedly been planning to kill his sons for months. In fact, it was ever since way back in October of 2022. It's also reported that he hadn't slept for about 3 to 4 days prior to the incident. But what continues to confuse investigators and the media itself is why he did it. Just what motive a father, even if it was an abusive father, would have to execute his own children.
He's confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope, that I'll see in my lifetime. I hope it's the worst fact pattern that ever comes before this court.
Doberman is visibly crying, which kind of suggests some remorse, but until now he hasn't seemed capable of such emotions because again he was just stone cold. His vicious character has been confirmed by neighbours who described him as a man with a temper who was constantly yelling and was known to be cruel to his wife.
He was just a very angry man. Like he just was always yelling at his wife and his kids, and you just really don't pay no attention to stuff like that, and then this happened.
This testimony clearly lines up with Doberman's criminal record, as prosecutors note that he had a previous charge of domestic violence in 2010.
As his prior record goes, Judge, it is fairly minimal. He was charged with domestic violence in 2010. He is not, to my knowledge, on probation community control.
However, surprisingly and unsurprisingly, I guess, Doberman's father, Keith, actually defended for his son and just his son's character. He went on record saying that that wasn't Chad standing at the arraignment, and he could tell because his eyes were hollow. Keith himself had no explanation for the killings, and he said his son simply just snapped.
Judge, the facts of this case are hopefully like no other we will ever see. When this case gets indicted in the Court of Common Pleas, I am certain that a no bond hearing will be held, and I would hope that would be granted. But at this point, this juncture, we're going to ask this court to issue a bond we've never asked for before. I'm going to ask for a bond of $20 million. I hope I never need to request such a bond again.
And as you just heard, the prosecutors just requested the bail of Doberman to be a staggering $20 million, a tactic that would ensure he would appear in court once again on his appointed trial day and not being let off by being released from police custody before that time. A judge will typically set a bond with such high value in cases like these where the defendant is charged with a violent crime or deemed a flight risk. It's quite evident here that Doberman has been determined as both. While the facts of this case continues to take shape, the prosecutors has gone on record. He sees the death penalty as a result in this case. As such, he wants Doberman to be executed for his crimes. A quite fitting punishment for a man who brutally executed his own sons. But it's still not confirmed on what Doberman's sentence is going to be. But one thing that me, you and everyone else can agree on, that this man needs to pay for what he's done.
That these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function for people.
So that'll be it for today's video. Comment below if these type of stories or like true crime documentaries intrigue your interest, because I really do enjoy making them. And also don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're on 482 subscribers. I hope in like 6 months we can hit about 500 or something like that. But either way, whatever the timeline is, I hope it's in the 6-month mark. But with all that being said, I thank you for watching, and yeah, goodbye.